Here we are going to see about electrostatic force due to continuous distribution of charge. Up till now we had been talking about the point charge, but it may be possible that we have a continuous distribution of charge. So how do we go about it? Let's see. So we have electrostatic force due to continuous distribution of charge. So we will see the continuous distribution of charges. We will see how many types of charge distribution we can have. Now the first charge distribution we can have is linear charge distribution. In case of a linear charge distribution, you will find that your charge is distributed along a line. Like for example, if I have a wire and the charges are distributed on this. So here we are going to talk about the line charge distribution. It is basically going to be a one-dimensional figure. And we talk here of a terminology which is known as linear charge density, that is given as lambda. So when you say lambda, lambda will be linear charge density. And what is basically linear charge density? Linear charge density lambda is total charge upon total length. So it is defined as charge per unit length. Now see, students, just take a simple case, right? If I keep asking you, okay, what is the cost of 8 mangoes? If I keep asking you what is the cost of 15 mangoes? If I ask you what is the cost of say 20 or say 98 mangoes? So every time if I keep asking you what is 8 mangoes cost, 15 mangoes, so what will be easy for you to tell me? You will say that cost of one mango is say ₹1. So if I say now what is cost of 8 mangoes, you say now you do it yourself. Now you don't ask me again and again what will be the cost of 98 or 15. Once you have given me the cost of one mango is ₹1. Now if I have any number of mangoes, I'll be able to answer this. Getting it? So I have told you basically cost per mango. Similarly, now what happens is if you have a very large distribution of charges, say the length is L or it may be the length is infinite. So we are basically interested in finding the charge per unit length. Like in unit length, what will be the charges? So here if I say lambda is charge per unit length, okay, then if I say what will charge, it is a total charge per unit length. Now if I say what is charge in length DL, if I say, okay, if I take a very small length DL here, I say now what is the charge in this length DL? So what you will say, the charge that will be dq will be equal to lambda DL, because you know the lambda is per unit, charges per unit length is lambda. So for length DL it will be into L. So this concept helps us to understand what will be the charge in length L or what will be the charge in length L dash. Whatever the charge is given, whatever the length is given, you just have to multiply it by lambda to get the charge in that length. So that is how this concept becomes more easy. Now if I say we have to find out, let us suppose we have to find out the force due to this linear charge distribution. Let's see, let us suppose I have a wire here, and now what I will specify let lambda be the charges per unit length. And if I say okay, this is charge here, this is charge Q0, and I want to know what is the force on charge Q0 because of this line element. So what I'll do is I will take a very small element dl. एक छोटा एलिमेंट dl ले लो और इस dl, let the distance between this dl and q naught, let this distance between dl and q naught be r. So what will be the small force between q naught and this length dl? First of all, what will be the charges in this length dl? The charges in the length dl will be lambda dl. So force will be equal to, the small force will be equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. If you have some medium, you can add this k, and what will be the charge? Q naught. And what is the charge in this element dl? It will be lambda dl upon, what is the total? This is distances upon r square. So this will be basically, if I write it in vector form, then you just add some unit vector here. This unit vector will be pointing, okay, so whatever is the direction. So this is the small force which I have got because of this length dl. Now if I say the total length of the wire is L, so what will be the total force? The total force basically will be integration of df. That will be integration over length L. Maybe the length is from 0 to L or from minus infinity to plus infinity. That integration limits we can see. And what will be inside? Inside will be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. So you will have, I can take 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught outside, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught k outside, q naught lambda dl upon r square, and here you will find over the length L, and this will be your unit vector r cap. And this can be further simplified as f is equal to 1 upon 4 pi k epsilon naught. I can take this q naught also outside, so this is going to be q naught. This is now over the length L, and you will have lambda dl upon r square, and this is going to be this. So this is how we deal with the continuous charge distribution. What quantity is important here is charges per unit. Linear charge density means charge per unit length. What is the linear charge density meaning? It is basically charge per unit length. Now let us talk about a ring. Let us suppose I have a ring, okay, and I have a ring, and here there you have the charge distribution. So now see, students, a ring, basically the charges are distributed over the circumference. So it is also a example of linear charge distribution. You must be thinking ring hai, there must be some area pi r square, but you see how the charges are distributed. The charges are distributed along the circumference. It is along the length of the ring, and therefore the charges on the ring is also an example of your linear charge density. So this is, we have dealt with the linear charge density. Now let us talk about another charge density, and we have another charge density is your surface charge density. So you can have a surface charge distribution. Now once you understand linear charge distribution, surface charge distribution is also going to be clear to you. Surface means area. So if you find that your charges are distributed over some area, so let us suppose these charges are distributed over some area, so you will be talking about surface charge density. And for surface charge density we have sigma. Sigma is nothing but it is known as surface charge density. Here we had linear charge density, here you will have surface charge density. And by now you understood what lambda was, charges per unit length. So what will be the surface charge density? It will be the charges per unit area. So if I say I have area ds, okay, so in small area ds, okay, number of charges will be number of charges, okay, dq will be equal to how much? Now see, sigma means number of charges in this much of area per unit area. So in area ds what it will be? It will be sigma ds. So this will give you the number of charges in small area ds. Now here, if let us suppose if I say I have a charge q naught here and I want to know what is the force okay, experienced by this charge Q naught because of this surface charge distribution. So what you will do is you will take a small area inside. So this is generally what has been done in physics. So you take a small area ds inside. Now because of this ds, what will be the force? Let's see here, the small force df because of this small area ds, and let us suppose this is at a distance r, will be given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. If some dielectric constant is there k, this will be q naught. And what is the charges which you are dealing with? How much charges will be there in ds? It will be sigma ds upon r square. And let us suppose n cap or r cap be the unit vector, like this is the direction of the force, since I have written it in a vector form. Now if I want to know what will be the total force, the total force will be F, that will be equal to integration of df, and integration of df over what? Over this whole surface S. You can say that over the whole surface S will be equal to 1 upon 4 pi k epsilon naught q naught integration sigma ds upon r square, and this is your unit vector which will just specify the direction, and this is over the surface S. So this is basically how you will be dealing with the surface charge distribution. Remember, in surface charge distribution you will be talking about surface charge density, that is sigma. So now for surface charge density is just here. If I say I have a sphere, okay, so say I have a sphere, say this is a metal solid sphere. Okay, metal solid sphere is nothing but you can talk of your bob, simple pendulum bob that you can see, right? It's a solid. And let us suppose I have another thing. This is your metal, okay, it's a conducting metal hollow sphere. Now see, a metal hollow sphere, you can take it as a metal ball, and that's going to be hollow from inside. Now one thing is there, students, whenever the charges are given to a metal solid sphere, even if you put the charge inside, what happens is that charge will have a tendency to come out of the surface. So any charge, even if it is put inside, automatically you will find that those charges will come on the surface. This is I am talking about the metal solid sphere. And therefore when we will be dealing about metal solid sphere or conducting sphere, solid sphere, you will find that the charges which you are giving will never reside inside, it will come out on the surface. So this is an example of surface charge distribution. Even though you will say that metal solid sphere is a 3D figure, but the charges will be on the surface, and that surface area is 4 pi r square if the radiuses are. And if I talk about a metal hollow sphere and you give the charges to it, again you will find that the charges will be on the surface. It will be like on the surface. So this is also an example of your surface charge density. So if you have charges on a thin plain sheet, or if you have charges on solid metal sphere or hollow sphere, then these all are the examples of surface charge distribution. Now let us talk about the third feature. Now surface charge distribution is going to be a 2D figure, right? So that's an easy way to remember. 1D figure है तो आपका linear charge density. So 2D figure is going to be a surface charge density. But the exception is here is that solid sphere, even though you will find that it is going to be a 3D figure, but it is a surface charge distribution only. Now we come on to the last distribution, and the last distribution is volume charge distribution. Now in your volume charge distribution, let us suppose I say I have a 3D figure. Let us suppose I have a cube here, right? And this cube basically is a non-conductor. See, whenever you have a 3D figure and it is a conducting body, agar good conductor hai, the charges will always reside on the outer surface. That's the property. So here when I am talking about volume charge distribution, this basically you will say that the charges are distributed inside also, it is on the surface also. So it's basically your non-conducting substance. And here I will talk about the charges are totally distributed in the volume now. So I will be talking about rho. This rho is known as volume charge density. So if I am talking about volume charge density, rho will be what? It will be charge per unit volume. So this is basically in unit volume, these are going to be the charges. So it is charge per unit volume. And in small volume dV, number of charges dq will be equal to how much? It will be rho dV. See, dimensionally also, if you see, rho will be q upon v, and this is so you will find that this v and v dimensions cancels out. You will get the dimensions of charge only. So dq is equal to rho dV. And now let's see what will be the force. Let us suppose if I have a charge q naught and I take a very small element here inside. Let us suppose I take a very small element inside here. So this element is dV. Let this separation here be r. Then the small force dF is given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught k. Some dielectric constant is between this cube and this charge q naught, and this will be q naught. What will be the charges? What I am considering here, charges in this volume dV. And how much charges in volume dV? That is dq. So dq is nothing but it is rho dV upon r square. So this is going to be your, and this is unit vector, some direction of this force unit vector. Now if I want to know the total force is going to be integration of this. So 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught k, q naught can be brought outside, and it is going to be your rho dV upon r square, this r vector, and over volume v, integration over volume v. So this is how you will be dealing with your volume charge distribution. If I say I have a solid wooden ball, solid wooden sphere मान लो, है ना. So solid wooden sphere, you will find that the charges where you are giving will stay put there only, and therefore here you will be talking about the volume charge distribution. But had it been solid conducting sphere, it would have been your surface charge distribution. So what is important here is you have to see how the charges are distribution. Volume basically is 3D. So here if you find that your charges are distributed over volume, you will be talking about volume charge distribution. If you find that your charges are distributed over surface charge distribution. And if you find that your charges are distributed over the length, then we will be talking about the linear charge distribution. So this is just a concept. This concept we are going to use it afterwards. This integral, what you are seeing is, we are not giving you to evaluate it. It is just a way that how you can calculate the total force. Now students, let's discuss this important numerical, because if you get the crux of this numerical, that as to how to solve these kind of numericals, these numericals would be easy for you. Like for example, okay, try to understand this example. Let us suppose if I say I have a charge here as q1 and I have charge here as q2, and this has been separated, say, by a distance r. So the question is, where should a charge q0 be placed between q1 and q2 such that it experiences no force? So you can see here where you have to put the charge q0 in between q1 and q2 so that the force on that charge will be 0. It will not move. Now see here, if I am going to put this charge plus q0, okay, let's see. First of all, let's try to understand this with the help of the vector. Like suppose if I am keeping this charge plus q0 here. So what will be the, let's try to use the superposition principle. What will be the net force on q0? The net force on q0 will be force on q1 plus vector sum of force on q0 because of q2. Now if this is plus and this is also plus, let us suppose that this q2 is not there only, then what will be the direction of force which will be experienced by q0? The direction of force will be experienced, it will be force, it will be in this direction. Now let us suppose q1 is not there And now if I tell you what will be the force experienced by Q naught because of Q2, ये भी repel करेगा. This force is going to be in this direction. This is going to be your force. Let us suppose this is F1 and this is say F2. Now if F1, okay, if F1 becomes equal to F2 magnitude wise, and as it is from the figure you can see that their directions are different, so they will cancel out and the net will become 0. So if F1, magnitude of F1 is equal to magnitude of F2, and as it is they have different directions, then Q naught will not experience force, because as I told you, superposition principle means that it is the vector sum. So vector sum means they will be cancelling each other. So what will, let us suppose, so now what we have is, let us suppose one distance I am taking it as x. So let us suppose we keep Q naught here. So let this distance be x. So what will be this distance here? This distance is going to be r minus x. So what is force F1? Force F1 will be equal to, so here you will have force F1 will be equal to, so I can just equate this 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q naught upon x square is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q2 Q naught upon r minus x the whole square. So I hope this concept is clear to you. So the forces will get cancelled because they are opposite direction, and if their magnitudes are same, then the net force definitely going to be 0. So you can see here Q naught and Q naught will cancel out, and this 1 upon 4 pi epsilon will cancel out. So here you will have Q1 upon x square is equal to Q2 upon r minus x the whole square. If I say, okay, if I say Q1 is equal to Q and say Q2 is equal to 2Q, so what will be the answer? It will be Q upon x square is equal to, this is Q2 is 2Q, okay. So 2Q upon r minus x square wholes, this Q and Q will cancel out. So you will have r minus x the whole square is equal to 2x square. So you can just take the square root on both the sides. So r minus x is equal to root of 2x, and you can get the value of x now. So r is equal to root 2x plus x, that is x 1 plus root 2. So value of x is equal to r upon 1 plus root 2. So here if the value of say r is given as 1 meter, or if your value of r is given as any distance, then you can get the value of x. So at this distance x from Q1, so x distance from Q1, we will find that net force F net is going to be 0 on Q naught. At times what you do is you find out this distance, but you don't specify that this distance is from Q1 or Q2. So to be more clearer, you can always specify that this distance x is from Q1. Now see how variation of these numericals can take place. Like for example, I give you, I have a charge say plus 2Q, and I have a charge here minus Q. Okay, these are the two charges and they are separated by distance r. Then I am telling you where plus Q naught be placed between 2Q and minus Q so that it experiences no force. First, whenever you have these numericals, first try to logically solve it. Now see, if I want to place plus Q naught here, suppose I place plus Q naught here, then what will be the force on plus Q naught because of plus 2Q? The direction of this force is going to be in this direction. Okay, so this will be the force on Q naught because it is going to repel. And what will be the force on Q naught because of minus Q? See, because of minus Q, it will attract, no? ये प्लस है ये माइनस है, तो यहाँ पे ये फोर्स अगर F1 था तो यहाँ पे ये फोर्स F2 है. सो बोथ द फोर्सेस F1 एंड F2 आर इन द सेम डायरेक्शन. F1 and F2 will never cancel because they are in same direction. Thus, where Q naught should be placed so that it experiences no force, nowhere you can place this. So between Q naught, between 2Q and plus Q, you cannot keep this force Q naught. You cannot keep this charge Q naught such that it experiences no force. इस पे यहाँ पे कोई भी force नहीं लगेगा. Now if I tell you, can we place it somewhere in this region 1 or in this region 2? कहीं region 1 और region 2 में क्या place करे क्या so that it experiences no force? Where it should be kept so that it experiences no force? Whether it should be region 1 or it should be region 2. अब चलो ये भी decide करते हैं, right? Let's try to decide this also. Now see here this magnitude, let us suppose if I say this numerical based on understanding, try to understand the concept. If I say okay, this is plus 2Q and this is minus Q, and let us suppose if I say okay, we keep it here. Let us suppose we keep this Q naught here plus Q naught. Now the force which will be experienced by this plus Q naught, because this distance is less, na? And Q naught distance from this Q is more. So obviously you will find कि इसका मैग्नीट्यूड भी ज़्यादा है और इसका डिस्टेंस कम है. मतलब ये तो फोर्स बहुत ज़्यादा लगेगा इस पे, एंड इसका तो मैग्नीट्यूड भी कम है और डिस्टेंस भी ज़्यादा, तो ये फोर्स बहुत कम लगाएगा. तो इसके कारण यहाँ पे ये फोर्स इस तरफ लगेगा एंड दिस फोर्स इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी लार्ज, एंड द फोर्स बिकॉज ऑफ माइनस क्यू विल बी इन दिस डायरेक्शन, दिस विल बी वेरी लेस. सो यू कैन नेवर नलीफाई दिस फोर्स हियर बिकॉज ये आपका ज़्यादा ही लगेगा. If I tell you the situation now, just here, if I say this is plus 2Q, this is minus Q, and if I say let us suppose I keep a charge Q naught here, then what may happen? You can come to one condition that since this distance is less and this magnitude is less, तो इसके कारण force distance less होने से थोड़ा बढ़ जाएगा, और क्योंकि इसका magnitude ज़्यादा है तो force ज़्यादा ही लगेगा. So here you will find the possibility that the forces can be nullified. So if I say this is distance r and say this is distance x, so this condition can be achieved, this condition cannot be achieved, this condition cannot be achieved. So in the exam now if they tell you, okay, they just tell you where the charge Q naught should be placed such that it experiences no force. In the figure, where in the figure where should you place Q naught? Okay, Q naught is plus, so that it experiences no force. Now see, the difficulty level of this numerical has increased. Why? Because I am not telling you that it has to be kept in between or it has to be kept on the right and left. So again, so first you have to analyze the situation. Plus 2Q, this is minus Q. Your center, you cannot keep it here. This side also you cannot keep it here. It means you say that let us suppose we keep it Q naught here at a distance x. So this possibility is there. And this distance is r. So what will be the force? Force F1 will be equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q naught upon x square. Now you will say, ma'am, this is minus Q. Why you are not putting it as minus Q? See, in vectors, minus sign is only indicating the direction, that's all. So here for this charge minus Q, your force will be in this direction. So it is indicating that the direction is on to the negative side. But magnitude wise you will not put the sign of minus Q. So this is the magnitude of the force. And what will be the magnitude of force due to other charge Q2? It will be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. This is Q naught, and this will be 2q. Now what will be the distance? Distance will be r plus x the whole square. So between plus 2q and q naught, this distance is x. So total distance is r plus x. Now this force here, this was F1, and what is F2? F2 is going to be in this direction. So now you have a possibility that they will cancel out. See here also in this side ना, ये वाला side में भी आपको लगेगा forces अलग है, possibility है cancel होने की, लेकिन होगा नहीं क्योंकि इसका magnitude भी ज़्यादा और distance भी कम है, तो इसका तो force इस पे बहुत ज़्यादा लगेगा in comparison this. So it can never nullify. So it has to be kept closer to the less magnitude. And now if you equate this, you will find that 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q naught upon x square is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q naught 2q r plus x the whole square. So you will find this cancels out, q naught and this also cancels out. So you will have equation r plus x the whole square is equal to 2x square. So now you take the square root. Don't try to see this kind of, you will be lost in the calculation if you try to expand it and then do it. What you do is you take the square root on both the sides. So r plus x is equal to root 2x. And now you will simplify this equation. So r is equal to root 2x minus x. So r is equal to x root 2 minus 1, and x value is equal to r upon root 2 minus 1. So this value of x can be calculated. So you say that your null point, basically you will say that it will not experience any force at a distance x from minus q. Now students, I hope after this you should be able to answer such questions. Where should the charge be placed so that it experiences no force? And any situation is given to you, first try to analyze where you will find that your forces are getting cancelled. So if you solve these numericals, you will get the feel. Initially you will take some time, but with the practice I think this will be easy for you, and total conceptual, total understanding part of this. So thank you so much.